Well, welcome back to Integrative Preparedness, part two of the Stonemont, the writing and more. That first one ended at just about the right time, I guess. So thank you, anybody who has made it this far. And now I'll start answering the questions that I read this morning. the So anyway, as I had said, I started writing the second book, and it started coming more smoothly. And uh, I had an idea first off. I guess I went into the second book with a little bit different mindset. The first one having been successful. I'm sorry, I kept looking at myself in there instead of at you. I still haven't got this down. So I went into it with the understanding that the first one had been successful, and I guess that gave me a little bit of confidence, and 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 the flow began to come better. So anyway, for all of you aspiring writers out there, I'll just tell you, keep at it, and like anything, the more you do it, the better you'll get, and the more it'll come. But how I write these, and the questions that I got from this other author, because we're all interested in how other people do things, uh, were interesting, and there are questions that other people have asked me as well. So I want to get them exactly right here. Um, First was, and other people have asked us, what is your writing process and schedule? Well, uh, I write the first book, the reversion. I wrote it everywhere. I mean, I wrote it waiting. I wrote it sitting around the house. I wrote some when I had an idea, waiting for an appointment at a doctor's office. Just anywhere. I just jot down, and try different things out. And and at first, I don't think that I was very good at dialogue. I think I got better as the time went on, because I think when I started, I was actually trying to write a story rather than, and this is just my opinion, it is just the way that it seems to me. I was trying to write a story as opposed to writing down. Um, I don't even how I might want to put this. What was happening? Okay, I base my characters, as I said, on people that I know. So when I have a character, I don't really have to make up much about them. I decide who they are, or what their background is going to be, and then I have an idea of how they would think, how they would talk, um, and if you pay attention, and I'm a student of people. I've always been a people watcher. I was a police officer for a long time, so it comes naturally. You understand, you get the rhythms, you get the energies of people. You read the, not to sound too esoteric, but you read the vibration of the world around you, and so you get this understanding. And so it was simply a matter, not necessarily to me anyway, of making it up, but of just kind of transcribing what I would see happening, if that makes any sense. Uh, so anyway, like I said, in the first book, the reversion, I would write scenes, a little bit here, a little bit there, wherever I happened to be, because I always had my phone with me. As I got into the second book, I became a little more regimented with my writing, and now I pretty much I come down in the morning. I write in the mornings for the most part. Get the kids off to school. I'm not really a morning person. I've always been a night person, but now with kids, I like to get up and see them off to school and start the day like that, and then I have a cup of coffee or two, and then I write, and I sit here. I write here. This is my front room. It's one of my favorite rooms. It's relaxing. It's peaceful, which I like. Um, and I start writing, and I pick up. I try to get in a couple of hours every day, but to be honest, I never set a goal. I don't. I've heard the other writers say, okay, I'm going to write 1,000 words a day, and that's their goal. And certainly those writers are very successful. Um, they're not all my favorite authors, but they certainly crank out the books, and they make a lot more money than I do. So their plan must be fine. But some days I just don't have 1,000 words that come out, and some days I just can't stop writing, and I can't make my one finger, move fast enough to keep up with the situation is, and it's developing and what people are talking about. Um, so my let me make sure that I got this again. Um, yeah, my process and schedule. Um, a schedule is a couple of hours every morning, and I'm fortunate to be able to do that. Um, and the process, I just write what comes into my head. I see what's the situation going on, and what would happen. You um, that's about all that I can share about that. I will say this, that I enjoy it very much. I enjoy it because I write about, as I mentioned in the last one, I write about a world the way I would want it to be, the world I would want to live in. And a number of friends of mine have said the same, and a lot of emails that I get, and even some reviews that I've had on Amazon, they say the same thing. They say, I wish I lived at Stonemont, or I wish I lived during those times. Or some people even say, I wish there would be an EMP so we could straighten all this stuff out. Well, I understand all of those sentiments. And so now, every time I sit down to write, I enjoy it because I'm entering a world that operates according to rules that I understand and support, and into a world full of people that I like. And the ones that I don't like, I get to do to them what I want to and what I'd like to in this world, but I can't. We used to be able to do some of that in the old days, but we can't anymore. And it was like they say, a more polite society when behavior can be checked right away and sufficiently. So that's pretty much my schedule and process. Uh, I wish I could have made it sound more professional, but it just kind of comes out, to be honest. Uh, and here is the second part: is how do you maintain consistency in your characters, keep them straight, recall the backstory and tidbits. Well, first off, um, as I said, everyone in there, for the most part, is based on someone I know. All the main characters are. Secondary characters are based on people that I have known, or conglomerates of types of people that come together. And as I create them, um, they become people. Um, I know the personalities. I know how they would act. I know how they would talk. Whether it's one of the good people, like Kelly, uh, she talks like Kelly. The kids talk like the kids. Um, Other people in there are friends of mine, and they are who they are. Even the bad guys. I mean, I dealt with plenty of bad guys. I know how they act. I know how they think, and I know how they talk. And so I just kind of plug that in there. So how I keep the continuity. Uh, I guess part of it is that I write every day when I'm writing. And like I said, I've taken about a 2 month break here, but I'm starting back this week, and it's coming back to me. And I'll probably go back and I will reread, the last few chapters just to get the flow, um, and then I'll start right in. But since I write every day, um, there's a continuity there, and I think that's important. And I think that if you don't write every day, it could be very difficult. I would think. And there's still times that I have to go back and check little details, uh, because I mean, and I'm not sure that I've caught all of them. Um, but try to check a detail when you're saying something. You say, okay, well now, and I won't even try to. I won't take your time trying to think of a specific here. But for the most part, I don't have to. Now I am getting to the point now to what I'm giving so many characters, and in the Blessings of Freedom, we're going beyond the immediate area. To give a little bit away on the new series, the New America series, which the Blessings of Freedom is the first book of. We have people going. We have things going on in Minnesota, and Iowa, and Texas. Um, we have people going down through Missouri and Tennessee into South Carolina and Georgia, and of course as they travel, they meet different people. And what I'm exploring here is what would be going on across the country. Because it's not just Stonemont. The whole world didn't fall apart and only Stonemont remains. These things are going on all over the country, all over the world. And so we're running into different people, and we're going to run into some good ones and some bad ones. And so some of these good ones specifically are going to be, if not recurring, at least fairly important characters during the time that they're in there, because they're the vehicles through whom I express different feelings and thoughts and things like that. So I've gotten to the point to where it's getting I'm getting more and more characters that I realize I am going to have to sit down and kind of make a catalog of them so that I remember. Um, um, okay, how old is he? How old is she? Things like that. I did have one kind of misstep, I think, in I don't know whether it was from the first book to the second book or whatever, and I had somebody kind of take me to task over it in a review, saying that I don't know, I think my son had started out as 9 years old, and then all of a sudden a year later he's 12 or something like that. Well, that's a faux pas you don't want to make, and it's embarrassing, and I'm sorry. I think what it was, I started writing it when he was 9, and by the time the next book came out, and I told you in the previous video how long it took me to write it, how long it took me to format it, and then get it out. I think by the time it was out, the next book came out. He was 12, but only a year had happened um, within that, you know, within the book time. So there are some mistakes like that. I don't know. I'm not aware of any others, but I'm not going to say there aren't. Um, so anyway, I think that's just about it. I think it's having the time to do it, and being able to do it consistently, to keep your mind consistent, because you can remember what happened in your life. You don't have to, well, for the most part. I don't always remember, but that's because of the consistency of your day-to-day living. And if you're writing on a daily basis, that flow will help you with that, I think. And so, like I said, I don't even remember if I finished my thought. I'm going to have to make a catalog of the different people. So when I go back and need to put, maybe you want to put them back in, or there's a need to put them back in, I'll be able to have their information and not have them have red hair instead of brown hair or something. I don't know. Um, so I'm entering kind of a new area here for me too. After 3 books, and I see the expanse. Well, the scope is going to expand. It's going to be interesting, but I'm so interested in I get interested in the story. It's one of my most enjoyable parts of the day to write, to get back into that world. And this may sound funny, and I hope it doesn't sound you know crazy, but I enjoy the people in it, and so my opportunity to be with those people, just like a reader, likes to be with those people, likes to be back in the story. I, as a writer, I have no idea whether this is common to writers, just me. I enjoy getting back and being with those people, talking with those people, thinking with those people. And I also enjoy, I have to say this, um, I enjoy sharing a lot of the historical information that I've come to find, and I'm gratified for this, that other people are learning from. Um, and enjoy. And I've had so many people come to me and say, "Gosh, I didn't know that about whether it's a part of our history or our government or whatever." So I like it when people talk about the preparedness aspect when they say, "Well, I never thought about that," or when people learn something from my historical references and say, "Well, I didn't know that," and I hope that that will make them go and do some study on their own, because the more that we know about our history, I think it helps us, chart the course for our future. So anyway, I hope that that has, been nominally interesting to you. I've tried to answer questions that a lot of people have asked me in the past, and I hope that I answered those questions from the other author who wrote me sufficiently. I don't know. Just like after my first book, and I said, well, this can't be any good. Maybe my answer wasn't wasn't good enough either. Um, but anyway, that's how I do it, and I'm sure that everybody has their own way. And so anyway, I just want to thank you all, and thanks again. I should say that the second and the third book have been every bit as successful as the reversion. I am gratified. I am thankful to all of you who have bought it, and gratified for your interest and the emails and the thoughts that you've sent my way. And I hope that you'll continue to enjoy the series. And as always, I ask God to continue to guide me in this. I think there's apparently people are getting things out of it, and I thank you all, and I thank him, and we look forward to the future. So I guess I'll stop it here, and thank you all again, and hope you have a great day. And remember, like I always say, remember to prepare today. Make every day a preparation for tomorrow, but don't sacrifice today for the tomorrow. Every day is the day that God gives us. Do the best. Use your best. Enjoy this day to the full extent. And with that, I'll say goodbye, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.